Awesome. Okay, so we are officially live and recording for day 4, and what a week it's been. I mean, who knew that during the free trial and boot camp week we would see crypto go absolutely crazy. All right, Bitcoin, Ethereum, a lot of very popular cryptos are going absolutely insane today and really over the past 48 hours. So we love to see it. But it's been a great week. It's been a phenomenal, phenomenal week. And shout out to those of you that are tuned in from all over the place. We got Australia in the house. What's good, Jordan? We got Kevin tapped in from Vegas. We got Philly in the cut. We got Ghana, Prince George, BC, YYC in the building, Moncton, New Brunswick. We got France in the house. We've got Nova Scotia in the house. Amazing, amazing. Great to have you all here. I'm currently out here in Ontario, Canada, about an hour from Toronto, and I'll be here for the next week or so before I fly out of town again to hit the road on a little tour for the summer. So it's gonna be good. But guys, who's been getting some value so far from these trainings every single evening during the duration of this boot camp and kind of free trial period so far? Who's been appreciating the value? Who's been appreciating the calls and the information that's being shared? Because obviously, these have been fun for me to deliver, right? I have a lot of fun teaching, I have a lot of fun educating. And my intention, if you guys recall, at the very beginning of the week, the very first day, the first point that I shared was really the intention for this entire week. And the intention for this week was to take somebody who might be completely brand new, or maybe for somebody that have experience, take that, circumstance that you're in right now in terms of your level of understanding and get you to a position where you are more able to trade profitably. You are more equipped with the tools and the resources to go out there and start to actively be trading. And so some of you, this is still, you're still in your first week, you're in your infancy trading, which is super, super exciting. For some of you, obviously, you've been here for some time, and so this is a great refresher of some of the basics. And this training that I'm going to be delivering tonight over the next 50 minutes or so is really going to be focused on how to simplify the trading process and different things to consider when it comes to simplifying the trading process. Because let's be honest, okay, trading is something that does involve skill. It does. It's the reality of things. Okay, you need to understand to a certain extent how and why the market moves the way that it does. Yesterday, we talked about understanding from an institutional perspective how the markets move and why they move the way they do. But the skill element comes in the ability to create a profitable plan, which takes, like I said, an element of skill, and even more so, the discipline to execute and stay consistent with that plan, execute on that plan and remain consistent in doing so. Now, that's not something that per se, is hard to develop. I think it's fairly easy to do, but also what's easy to do can be easy not to do and not to follow and not to come up with and not to create a trading plan, but rather to just be dabbling in the markets. And the nugget of gold I want to give you guys before we dive into the main training is that if you want to really make something of this skill, okay, because trading is a skill as a whole, and there's different elements and parts of the whole skill. But if you really want to make it in this industry, if you really want to make a positive impact in your own life financially, but also in the lives of your loved ones and your friends, your family, whoever it is in your life that you want to go out there and give back to, all right, if that's you, drop a one in the chat, first of all. Who's serious and actually committed to getting to a point where this is a skill that is paying the bills, right? Skills to pay the bills. And the reason I frame that question and I ask that question is, a lot of you are very early in your journey and there's going to be hiccups. It's just like anything. So you're going to have to remain consistent. You're going to have to remind yourself of your why you got started. What was the motivation? And I want to challenge you, if it's just to make a little bit of extra cash, that in some cases can be enough of a motivation. But really, let's say you get to $10,000 months and you're doing that consistently. Have you ever thought of what you would be putting that income towards every month? Actually put the a little bit more substance behind just, oh yeah, I want to make a little bit extra money. First of all, define the amount. Second, what is that amount going to be used for? What is that going to be put towards? Maybe it's real estate properties. Maybe it's other investment opportunities. Maybe it's giving, right? Giving back. The secret to living is giving. A lot of people don't realize this. It's a key ingredient in the success formula that people miss, especially when it comes to making money. The wealthiest, most successful, most, pinnacle level of success when it comes to monetary success, the wealthiest people around the world are giving the most. Andrew Carnegie at the turn of the century was the richest man in the world. I think in today's dollars, it was something around 400, you know, I can't remember exactly what it was, $400 billion net worth or something as an individual. And it was all in cash. It wasn't like, oh, Jeff Bezos, who's, his whole net worth is in Amazon stock. No, like we're talking cash. And he was really big in the steel industry. And this is an interesting story. I'll share this with you guys. The first kind of third of his life, he spent learning skills. The first 30 years of being around, first 25 years of being around, he spent developing skills, high income skills, and just people skills and different skills like sales and communication and success, right? Just understanding principles of success. The second half of his life, the I guess you could say the second third of his life was meant to really just make him his fortune. Okay, that was the time, the years where he was applying the skills, applying what he learned, and making a ton of money doing so. Again, north of $400 billion in today's money net worth as an individual, not a corporation, as an individual. Insane number. And then he spent the third half of his life giving it all away. He spent I keep saying half, the third portion of his life giving it all away. And the ways in which he would do this is, in charity. Also, he was quite literally working with cities to build more libraries. He actually wanted to raise the consciousness of people, raise the awareness, give them tools and resources that are really to their benefit. And it's funny, he would be working with these cities and townships, and when he's working with these places, the city is not paying a dime for the development of these libraries. They're not staffing these libraries because the city didn't have the money to do it. It's kind of funny. You got this one guy, Andrew Carnegie, who's funding the entire operation of building hundreds and hundreds of magnificent libraries all over the US. And so the reason I share that with you is Andrew Carnegie had a why when he first got into business. Now, maybe you have zero desire to go out there and reach that level of success monetarily, okay? But the point that I'm making here, and to bring this full circle, is your why needs to be something strong enough to keep you going even when you don't feel like it. Even when you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of like I don't want to do what I know I should be doing, but I just don't really feel like doing it. And then you think about your why. If your why is something more than just, oh, I want to make a few extra dollars or I want to make a little bit more money, it's going to get you out of bed. Okay. That is like, oh, yeah, today I don't really feel like it. I'm okay not trading to miss out on some money. Sure. Maybe you allow yourself to do that if that's your why is just to make more money. But if your why is to be able to positively impact people with that income, if your why is something stronger, maybe it's to retire your parents, maybe it's to be able to give back to the people that you really love in a big way, that's something that's going to keep you going. And that is something that I would encourage you guys to come up with is really defining that why. And with all that being said, if you treat this like a business, if you treat this skill of trading like a business and this opportunity as a business, okay, think of like a business owner, super dialed, taking care of business, right? Pun intended. And if you treat this thing like a business, it's going to pay you like one. But if you treat it like a hobby, it's going to cost you like one. It's not going to pay you whatsoever. Hobbies don't pay you typically. All right. Businesses pay you. Hobbies cost you money. So think about that. Think about that. But today's topic in diving into the training is something that helps with the development of this skill and the simplicity factor of applying this skill of trading. Now, of course, past profits and past results are not indicative of future gains. Things can change, markets change. And at the end of the day, nothing's guaranteed other than progress as you continue through this whole process with trading. But what one person has done, what one man or one woman has done, so can you. You too can accomplish. And I've seen a lot of people do some serious damage, but in a good way, with this scanner that we're going to be overviewing today. So drop AI in the chat if you've kind of seen this whole craze. Maybe you're even dabbling a little bit with it, the chat GPT craze. You're starting to see AI kind of all over the place, Meta AI. It's on like Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Facebook as well. You got these AIs popping up everywhere. You got this whole deep seek situation, right? This Chinese, AI. And we're kind of getting, really quick into the advancement of AI. And there's a lot of technology that's finally being released to the public. A lot of people don't realize this. Like AI has been around for a long time, like decade, probably, potentially longer. And it's just now starting to be released publicly. This is stuff that, has been around for a long time, but they're bringing it publicly officially. So what if you could use AI to simplify the trading process? Well, that's in fact something you have the ability to do inside our community. We have a lot of different scanners and AI tools that simplify the trading process. And so the one that I want to share with you guys today is essentially, I'm going to give you guys the full training, how to use this thing, how to understand this thing. And over the next 40 minutes or so, we'll maybe even be able to find an opportunity of a trade that we can take together. We'll see. If the markets aren't going to be favorable for us to take a trade, then, we're not going to force a trade, right? But let's go ahead and dive into it. So, one of the strategic partnerships that we have as a community, Revolt Academy, and a company, is with a company called Jifu. Now, Jifu is a platform that I've been educating with now for a period of time, and there's 60,000 total customers around the world, all over the world, that are a part of Jifu, and a lot of them are on this call already. And some of you are probably going to become Jifu members after this boot camp. And, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to teach a lot of what we've kind of scratched the surface of this week in way more detail on my live sessions with the Jifu platform. Now, to give you a quick overview of what we're looking at on screen here, this is basically the one-stop shop for anything when it comes to just personal development, getting better, learning high income skills. Okay, you got Forex, crypto, e-commerce, social media, how to monetize your social media, how to really crush it with business and using paid ads on social media, right? Mindset, keeping your mind right, because mindset is really the starting point of any sort of success. Having the right mindset, having the right goals, having the right persistence and discipline mentally to keep going, right? Finance, okay? There's a lot of different uh, things that you have access to, facets that you have access to. Now, on the Forex side of things, there's a number of different educators that we have a part of the educator team. Of course, I'm one of the educators here on the platform, and there's some other, I mean, all of these educators are absolutely phenomenal, frequently calling out trade ideas, giving you the A to Z blueprint, everything you need to know about trading, their strategy, you learn on these sessions. It's like, imagine learning from the LeBron James, the Ronaldo of the trading industry. That's who you have access to at your fingertips. I mean, these guys on average are six, seven-figure earners, in a lot of cases, eight-figure earners in the trading space. And so being able to tune in with them on a regular basis is super cool. Now, there's a section of the GFU Live platform called scanners, and this is what we're going to be focusing on today. There's obviously lots we could go into, but I want to focus specifically on one AI scanner that is built specifically for smart money. How many of you, drop a three in the chat, were on or watched the recording of yesterday's training? I'm really alluding to the idea of how the banks trade, how there's market manipulation, and how to be aware of that fact, because it is a fact. Like, this is not some, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, there might be market manipulation. There might be. No, like there is absolutely with certainty. And there's ways for us to follow in the footprints of the institutions to trade with them instead of against them. Okay. So I'm seeing quite a few threes in the chat. If you haven't seen the recording of yesterday's session, or maybe you missed it live, you can go into the Telegram channel. You can also just go directly to my YouTube page, and all the recordings from the boot camps past three sessions are accessible on that, Telegram and my YouTube channel. So you're welcome to check that out. You're welcome to rewatch it in a new unit of time after this week. And just applying what you're learning this week is something that can really set you on the right pace and right trajectory in moving forward after this week. So the scanner that we're going to talk about today is called Smartmonics. Okay. And this is a combination of what we call smart money concepts and harmonic principles in the market. And I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty details. I just kind of want to showcase with you guys a couple really cool things about this particular scanner and why it's something that I like to use so frequently, just in an effort to save time, but also just in general when it comes to finding opportunities in the market. Now, it's very simple to use this scanner. I'm going to show you guys a couple examples of setups that and how to read a setup being shared using the scanner. But essentially put, you can look at the same assets that you have access to on tradingview.com. You also have access to on this Smartmonics scanner. Now I'm going to see if we can scan through this and see if there are any active opportunities on Smartmonics, just to show you guys how this works. And there's quite frequently opportunities and ideas that are being shared using this scanner. It'll literally give you all the entry and exit parameters on a silver platter, which is super cool. So I know there's probably a lot going on. You guys are like, whoa, what's with all these lines, all these different things I'm looking at? Okay. And I agree. There's, quite a bit going on. Is this in real time? Hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, what is happening right now? This is a massive candle. Are we seeing this across the board? Did Trump tweet something? There must have been a Trump tweet. We're seeing some interesting volatility on currency pairs. Interesting. But oh man, it's funny. Okay, cool. Anyways, so on the scanner, something that's really cool about this is a smart money scanner. So it's basically coded to identify key points of interest for you as a smart money trader. So what we have on screen here is an example of an idea that's being offered in real time on the scanner. Now, this is one that you can choose to participate in if you'd like. The parameters are all on screen if you want to take a picture of them and enter this into your MT5 or your trading application, you're welcome to. But essentially put POI, that stands for your entry point in the market. Invalid or invalidation, this is your stop loss. And then you have different targets which are shown in green. So all you're going to want to do when you're using this scanner is pull up whatever currency pair, whatever asset it is that you're looking to trade or looking to see what the scanner is showing in terms of opportunity. You pull it up, some of the charts are going to have these parameters on screen for you, and that means there's a trade opportunity for you to get ready to capitalize on. Some charts won't have this, and it just means that there's not actively a setup that is deemed favorable from the AI. Okay. And now essentially from here, there's a couple things you can do. You could decide to take this trade as is, as it's being shared, in real time with these exact targets, taken into consideration. Or you could choose to use this as an idea to kind of work off of to find your own trade. So for me, what I would normally look to do on this setup is just take it for the parameters that are being shown on screen. I mean, unless there was like a very specific or particular, you know, area in price that I was anticipating us to retrace to, and it wasn't where this entry price is currently being given, I might look to make a minor adjustment. But for most of you seeing this, and obviously in starting out, the simplest thing to do, I'll just go into full screen here, is to literally just take a look at what the parameters are that are being given to you and enter accordingly using those parameters. So for me personally, the way I'll look to take this trade, should we be entered into it, okay, what's the anticipation? Well, from current price, our entry for a sell, okay, sell limit entry, it's a pending order, is basically put, this is what we're looking for. Price to retrace to this area of entry to then take sells and target these different areas when it comes to the scanner's take profits. For me, the way that I define exactly which take profit to use is based on this concept that we alluded to yesterday and talked a little bit about, which is where is the money? Where are the vast majority of retail investors looking to take buy positions in this particular scenario? If this is a sell idea, we want to look to target areas where there are relatively equal lows. Okay. Again, remember yesterday, for those of you that were here, and for those of you that weren't here, we talked about this concept of retail traders looking to take positions off of quote support or resistance areas. Now, a lot of these areas of support and resistance are very easy to be manipulated by institutions because there's a buildup of what we call liquidity, which is just pending orders. And a lot of people basically are looking to see, okay, if price trades back down into this zone, right, once, twice, if we come down into this zone one more time, I'm going to look to take buys and see another bounce. And if they have a pending buy order, their stop losses are going to be below this low, or maybe below one of these lows. And so the idea here for me is, should we see a retracement to our entry area, I would want to take sells to then target these relatively equal lows. Well, it just so happens that take profit two is right in line with that area of liquidity. So my first take profit is going to be based on that fact. Okay. If let's say these lows were down at TP3 or up at TP1, my first target is going to be in line with those lows, with that area of liquidity. So for this particular trade, my take profit, I'd be looking at if we just adjust this here, it's about a 1 to 2.4 risk to reward. So if you're risking $10 on that trade, $50 on that trade, you're looking to make almost 2.5 times what you're risking on those positions. Okay. Now, of course, you could look to hold a small portion of your position to these greater targets, but it's always good to pay yourself when a trade is going your way. So should this give us a pullback with entry opportunity, and then we start to see that reaction, once we've gotten down to TP2, where I would be looking to mainly target, I'm certainly going to be closing a portion of my trade, if not, perhaps the vast majority of that trade at 1 to 2.5 risk to reward. So this is an idea that we can go ahead and place together on stream. And what I'll do is I'll just write this out in big text for you guys, just so you guys can kind of see this. And then if I could have somebody that has admin permissions in the Telegram also share this idea there, that would be fantastic. So NZUSD sell limit idea. I don't know if Blake or Dayton, one of you guys want to drop the idea in the free trial chat, but that'd be great. Um, just use the format that we've been using for previous ideas. So price, entry price, we're looking at this price level right here. So 0.60295. SL price is at 0.60434. And then the target that we're going to be actually aiming for is these lows, which is at 0.59968. And then I would say we'll put a second take profit on this one for these lows here. So this low is at, looks like 59800. So this is what we're looking at in terms of this particular trade idea. So for those of you that are trading on a demo this week with us for the free trial, or you're looking to, place this trade on a live account, obviously do so using proper risk management. And the stop loss is 14 pips. So you're going to want to use on this particular trade, you could probably get away with like a 0.03 for every $100 in your account. I'm just going to double confirm that that's not over leveraging. Let me take a peek here. So 60295. You know what? I'd say you guys can actually risk 0.04 for every $100 on this particular trade. 0.04 lot size is using proper risk management. You'd be risking about $5 on a $100 account, which is about 5%. If you want to use less than that, maybe you want to risk 2.5%, that's fine. You could do 0.02 for every $100. It's up to you. Not financial advice, okay? Not financial advice. These sessions are for educational and entertainment purposes only. Disclaimer. But Aiden, welcome. No worries, no worries, brother. Good to have you here. We're looking at NZD USD sells. This is the limit and kind of idea. I'm going to drop this in the chat. And this is an idea you guys can, choose to participate in if you'd like. Okay, totally up to you on what you decide to do. But really, the whole purpose of us even looking at the market right now was just to give you guys an idea of how to navigate this scanner. And it's really cool because it's actually using the smart money concepts that we love to talk about so frequently inside the community. And if we're taking a look at, kind of what we have going on here, notice the price action and how we saw kind of these last couple of up close candles prior to this major down move that just took place. And this could be considered a run on seller stop losses. So anybody that was selling from this quote unquote resistance just got hit out. Now we're starting to sell off, and the scanner's looking for a pullback to potentially take entry. And again, targeting these relatively equal lows. I think this is a good place for price to bounce from based on where we're currently trading. So yeah, let's maybe come back to this. I'm gonna save this real quick and let me see if I can do that. Hold up. Oh, I think my drawing got deleted. Let me see if I can paste it though. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. And then copy image. Okay, sweet. Here we go. Perfect. So we'll come back to that. Perfect. Okay, let's take a look at AUD USD and see what we're working with. I'm sure there's probably something fairly similar going on with AUD USD. There's quite a bit of correlation between these two pairs. It's the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar against USD. So similar setup on AU. And with what we're seeing on the hourly time frame, very, very similar structure here, but a 16 pip stop loss looking for a similar retracement. And I want to take a look at this on the 15-minute time frame. I want to see if we have any sort of 15-minute parameters that are being shown. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it, but pretty nice sell-off here. About a 35 pip move in just about 30 minutes. It's like 1 pip a minute. It's a pretty good move for AUD USD. So yeah, nothing really on the 15-minute time frame, but the hourly, like I said, we do have the hourly time frame set up. I would be favoring NZD USD and over AUD USD for sales. So I'm not going to share this one as an official idea. You can obviously use your discernment with these scanners, and you could take this trade. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this trade per se. The reason that I would prefer the other one over AUD USD, considering their correlation and how closely correlated they are, is because NZD USD has been weaker throughout this week and over the past couple of weeks in comparison to the Australian dollar. So if we're wanting to get the most bang for our buck, so to speak, on the sells, NZD USD is likely to pay out a little bit more handsomely in comparison to Australian dollar against the US dollar here. So yeah, nothing that I'm keen on for AU. Let's take a look at CAD JPY. Pretty big sell off here. We got a 15-minute setup. Interesting. Do we have any sort of news? official red folder news right now. It doesn't look like it. What do we got for these folders? Okay. Yeah, nothing too crazy. So in terms of what we're looking at here, again, you pull up the scanner, depending on price action, there might be some sort of opportunity that's shared for you. And again, the entry parameters, the thing I love about this thing is it's very easy to duplicate understanding of. Now, all the lines and craziness and stuff that's going on the screen, bit of a different story, okay? The understanding and the concept of where those lines are coming from and what the significance of those areas are is a lesson for another day. You can simply just use this scanner based on the parameters that are being given to you, and then you can kind of, compare a little bit with your own judgment and your own experience and your own, level of understanding of the markets at this stage. Now, if you're completely brand new and you're like, Donnie, I don't really know what to base it off of, no problem. You can use these parameters and just practice, practice on a demo account first. Maybe, once you have a bit of a track record and some consistency, you can expand into a live account. And this is all, this scanner is all about creating independence as a trader so that you're not just reliant on trade ideas. You're not just reliant on opportunities that are being shared from educators, which, obviously they're not going anywhere. Those are going to be on a regular basis, especially inside the community. But just for the week, we have these ideas that are being shared inside the boot camp. But this is stuff that we're sharing on a regular basis. This is just through the GFU Live platform, Aiden. This is just through GFU Live. But yeah, those ideas are being shared frequently. But hey, wouldn't it be cool to use those ideas while you're learning the skill, but also learn to become kind of independently profitable using a scanner and a tool like this, which is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, especially if you're someone who's wanting to trade a very similar style as myself, which is smart money concepts, understanding how the banks are trading. So yeah, this is a setup on CAD JPY. We saw another pretty aggressive sell-off here. I'm not sure I like this one as much. And the reason for that is we've already taken out, I mean, all of this liquidity on CAD JPY. Obviously, there's a possibility we could trade lower. I like the odds or chances of price returning down to this area. But at current price, I wouldn't be favoring this for a position. This is just, me personally. I'm still liking NZD USD the best. Usually what I'll do when I'm taking a look at certain currency pairs, right now we're focusing on currency pairs that tend to be moving during this time of day. We didn't talk about it on any of the boot camps, but there are different. Actually, did we talk about it? Did we talk about trading sessions on Monday? Who remembers? Use it for gold. Yeah, we'll take a look at gold momentarily. Did we talk about trading sessions? I don't think we did, right? I think it was on one of my GFU live sessions, not on the boot camp. So there are different trading sessions that allow for this market to be open 24 hours, 5 days a week. And we're currently trading during the Asian session where there's Sydney, Tokyo. Those are the two main markets that are open right now. So you have Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. These are the pairs that tend to be most liquid and kind of volatile at this time of day. Um, Not to say that you won't see movement in other currency pairs. I mean, we've seen quite a bit actually during this Asian session today, but typically you want to focus on the pairs that are most liquid, depending on what time of day you're on the charts. So we'll take a look at gold. Somebody had requested to look at gold using the scanner, so we'll take a look at it. And gold is one of my favorite things to trade. So yeah, taking a look at it, 15-minute time frame, we're getting a nice impulse higher on the scanner here. We broke through this area of relevance after getting a bit of a pullback earlier today. Actually took sells on gold this morning from here. I'll be overviewing them on my live session on GFU Live tomorrow in the morning. For those of you guys that are part of the GFU community already, but this was a beautiful sell. Beautiful sell, but we'll get into it tomorrow. But either way, we're seeing gold push up. And taking a look at this on the hourly, this is my favorite time frame to use this scanner on. We don't currently have any sort of specific entry criteria that's being shared at current price. However, notice how we have a couple zones that are kind of highlighted and drawn out to the right. So we've got these areas, which are significant as kind of buy to sell motions. We also kind of have this sell to buy motion that is drawn out to the right as well. So if we were to get a pullback into this kind of consolidation, I'd be curious to see if we could see price trade higher from there. Excuse me. But for now, no parameters specifically on gold on the hourly time frame. We can take a look at some other time frames. The 4 hour. Looks like there was a sell. Wow, look at that. So this was a previous setup. This is actually a great example to show you guys for what this thing is capable of. So this candlestick, as soon as these candlesticks printed right here, this scanner shared these entry criteria. And look at how price from where these parameters were given, these two last, or not two last down candles, but these two kind of engulfing aggressive down close candles. We saw price, point of interest be given, and we kind of chopped around at it for a while. We got a bit of a sell-off to take profit two, 1 and 2 risk to reward, price retrace beautifully back to the point of interest again before then smashing through all 5 targets. That's fire. 1 to 5 risk to reward, depending on whether or not you would have held that trade. But for me, if I was taking a look at this, okay, this yellow candle, that's when the actual idea was shared. Candle closed here. Next candle open. We traded around entry for a while. Lots of consolidation there. But what I would have been looking to target, if you guys recall, when we were taking a look at NZD USD, is I always like to ask myself, where is the money? And if the entry was from here, the areas of liquidity that we would have had would have been this low, which is around TP2. And these lows primarily, which would have been around TP4. So those would have been my main targets on this particular trade, just looking for where, can a lot of retail traders be stopped out from their buys? Again, this was a sell idea. So this is one in hindsight that's played out really clean, actually, on the 4 hour time frame. And this is a trade that's, already kind of expired. So I'm not too sure why it's still showing, but we'll eventually see a new pattern, a new scanner update, which will give different parameters as time goes on. Is there anything else you guys want me to take a look at? Any other suggestions on pairs to take a look at? I know somebody said to check this out for specifically gold, so that's why we're taking a look at it. This works for the entire, sorry, does the whole Forex market run on the same time zone? Yeah, so you can't edit the time in your MetaTrader 5 app. It's usually set by your broker, actually. Um, yeah, it's usually set by your broker, so it's not something you can actually change. But yeah, so you wouldn't be able to like adjust it for your time zone, if that makes sense. BTC, yeah, we can take a look at BTC. Let's do it. I want to take a look at a smaller time frame setup on BTC because we're seeing a lot of volatility right now, which I love. And we've been waiting for this for, I mean, how long have we been waiting for this? How long have we been talking about this? We've been talking about this for a long time. A long time. Been talking about Bitcoin to 140K since the lows of 2022. So it's kind of cool how we're starting to see that push. Great day today, great volatility today. So taking a look at this on the smaller time frames. Let's go down to the 5 minute. Actually, let's start with the 15. We'll start with the 15. Nothing on the 5 minute right now, anyways. So we actually have sells on Bitcoin. Now, I'm not sure I would take this one because it's kind of against the current overpowering trend, which is very, very bullish. So another maybe note to make in your notes, if you're taking notes, is you want to use the scanner to take trades that are ideally with trend. The trend is what has price been doing over the past however long it's been. And if we take a look at, Bitcoin's price, even just since like, what was this? What date was this here? So even since the beginning of July, we have been extremely overwhelmingly bullish. We traded from around 105,000 to 115,000 since the beginning of this month. That's very bullish. Okay, uptrend. All right, big uptrend. So this sell idea, not that you can't consider it, not that you shouldn't take it. I'm not saying that. However, I am saying, maybe be a little bit more mindful of taking a sell idea from the scanner when we're in a very bullish environment. Taking sells is kind of like swimming upstream. You want to do your best to swim with the current to get from point A to point B faster instead of having to work super hard to, swim upstream, right? So this is against the current trend. So I wouldn't personally look to take this. If we had some sort of buy ideas from down in here, which is something I was hoping we could see with the scanner, maybe we didn't give the 5 minute enough time to load. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's actually anything on the 5 minute. Let's go down to check out the 30 minute time frame and see what we've got. Doesn't look like we got anything there either. See, we got 2 hour, nothing. Also, look at this. It's a very impulsive movement on Bitcoin. I've been missing this price action since December, November, December of last year. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. 4 hour time frame. So just very, very bullish price action on Bitcoin right now. So aside from that little smaller time frame sell, there's not a whole lot that's being shared for Bitcoin. And not too sure we're going to get anything if we go on the higher time frames. Maybe we can drop to like the 3 minute and see probably the sell if there was anything. Doesn't look like we got anything though. 1 minute time frame. I don't usually encourage people to trade the 1 minute. Although there is a buy that was shared from here that so far has hit one target. So the candle that you can see highlighted, this white candle, that was when this idea was first generated. And it was anticipating a pullback to that zone, which we got. We traded a little bit into drawdown, price then ran to TP1. But the 1 minute time frame is very sporadic, hard to anticipate unless you have a higher time frame context. So when we're going through the different time frames here, just to reiterate what we talked about on, I think this was day one when it comes to how to read a chart. If not day one, then certainly day two, but pretty sure it was day one. Each of these time frames that we're toggling back and forth from is just representing each of these candlesticks, each of these bars. Okay, they're called candles. So if I'm on the 1 minute time frame, every single one of these bars is showing me 1 minute of price action, 1 minute of trading. So this current candle that's printing, let me see if I can get the countdown. I'm pretty sure you can get countdown here. Uh, Here we go, countdown to bar close. So we have about 30 seconds. You can see it on the right-hand side of the screen here. About 20 seconds now before this candle that's currently printing closes. So each candle will tell you a story. If it's red, it means that price opened at a higher point than where price closed at the end of that candle. So this 1 minute candle, about 5 seconds left before it closes, likely going to close as a red candle, meaning that price traded and opened trading higher than where price closed in that 1 minute. And the reason I say you don't want to spend too much time on the 1 minute is because this isn't the best area to be looking for data. You want to focus on the 15-minute time frame, the higher time frames, because you're going to get more data in fewer candles. So it's a little bit easier to take a look at and observe and kind of see and do some analysis on those higher time frames. 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, stuff like that. BTC JPY. Yeah, I mean, we can take a look and see if BTC JPY is in here. What's interesting is I haven't, I don't think it is. I think it's just USD pairs in here. BTC USD. I was just going to say though, I haven't traded any Bitcoin cross pairs, only Bitcoin against the US dollar. So it's cool seeing BTC JPY because there are BTC JPY charts. I mean, this thing's flying. It's currently worth 16 million yen. Interestingly enough, though, we're not actually at new all-time highs against the Japanese yen versus US dollar. We are. Shout out to Daddy Dollar dumping and losing a lot of strength this year so far. Okay, we'll take a look at EU. Somebody asked for EU in the chat, so we'll take a look over on Euro USD. And as of right now, 15-minute time frame. Let's go on to the hourly. Looks like there's a little bit of a harmonic pattern here, but no sort of entry parameters. Really, my ideal scene for Euro is to see price trade to here right now, personally. We took nice sells from this area, rode this whole move down earlier. Today, that hit target, hit take profit. Entry was last night, so that was cool. That was for people inside the GFU community. We were discussing that on yesterday morning's session, and we recapped the trade today. It was super clean. This was the before and after. I'll show you guys the before and after because we do this inside the community quite regularly. But I'll just show you guys real quick. Give me a second here. So that's the after. That's the during. And then this was the outlook before that was shared as well. Let me see if I can pull it up. This one. So this was a trade that I overviewed yesterday morning. This was at around 8 a.m. Eastern on the 9th. And the anticipation, you can kind of see what my anticipation was. It was for price to trade higher into this area and then sell off. So this is like a sell limit example. An order that I had placed here for this trade was a sell limit. Now this wasn't shared to the free trial. This wasn't shared to the boot camp. This was just shared to people inside the community. But in hindsight, this is an absolutely beautiful idea. And I know a number of people that are regularly on my sessions and in the community had an opportunity to take this trade. But this is a 1 to 3 risk to reward. So for every dollar or percentage, let's say you're risking 1% on this particular trade, you're looking to make 3% at target, which was this low, really these lows kind of together. And so if we take a look at the during screenshot, this was what we had as of this was, I think, yeah, earlier this morning before we saw a full TP hit. So price traded right up into the point of interest, gave that rejection, and price sold off very nicely. And we ended up achieving that full take profit and beyond, actually. This is the current Euro USD chart. This is that same trade, and we're continuing to trade lower. So really nice trade, and just a demonstration of what we call the magic arrows in action. Okay, this is your magic arrow in action right here. But yeah, this is I say that jokingly because sometimes we'll kind of meme it, but the outlooks and the ideas that I'll share, I'll tend to put this like arrow showing anticipation of what I'm looking for. And sometimes it looks like I have magic arrows or I'm using like a crystal ball to come up with these ideas, but it's really not the case. I'm nobody special. I don't have a crystal ball or anything. It'd be pretty cool if I did, but I don't. And the same skill that I'm using to identify trades like this and opportunities like this is what I teach and what you guys have the opportunity to develop over time. The only difference is the size of our dream and time. That's the only difference. So yeah, really nice setup there. But yeah, in terms of what we're looking for, I mean, really the cleanest setup that we've looked at with the scanner so far was NZUSD. I really like this kind of fair value gap fill. That's just fancy terminology. We'll get into that in another session. But yeah, so this is the scanner, guys. Based on the timing, I don't want to spend a whole lot longer on today's session, but I'll maybe take a couple questions in the chat box. This is pretty much wrapping it up, but this is kind of just a showcasing of one of the tools that we have access to inside the community. And one thing that's really cool as well, for those of you guys that have been a part of the boot camp and free trial for the duration of this week so far, live or on the recording, tomorrow we're actually going to be opening up applications to apply for some more information, to apply to be a part of the community. And if obviously it's a good fit on both sides, we'll be very excited to work with you guys more closely on the skill if you know if we see fit and if you see fit as well. So tomorrow's session is really going to be about what that looks like and what you have to get excited for in that application process. So definitely for those of you guys that are seeing this live or in the recording, make sure to arrive promptly at 8 p.m. tomorrow because tomorrow is likely to be the most important to end off this week and most important of this week for where we go from here. How shall we proceed after the end of this boot camp and what are the options? You know, what are the options? What are the directions that you can go to continue working with us, to continue being a part of the community, to really apply yourself to learn this skill? Because this is a skill that requires commitment. This is a skill that requires time, requires energy. It doesn't need to be a ton of time and a ton of energy taking away from what you already have going on, but it still does need to be a priority. It still needs to be something that you focus on, and you don't want to be trying to do a million different things, focusing on a million different things all at once, because typically where you focus, if you're all over the place with your focus, you're not allowing that attention to really turn to fruition with results. Okay, because you're constantly jumping from one thing to the next, not really allowing yourself to stay focused on one thing at a time. So anyways, yeah, questions. Let's take a couple questions before we wrap up the session and jump into there's another meeting actually right after this that will a few of us will be jumping on to. But first question in the chat is, do I risk the same amount of money? Let me hold up. Let me scroll up a little bit here. Do I risk the same amount of money if I trade same lot size, zero point 0.2, for example, on 300 versus $1,000 account? Yeah, so that zero point 0.2 is still worth the same amount per pip. Yes, great question as well. So the amount of money you're trading with doesn't dictate how much zero point 0.2 is worth. Zero point 0.2 will always be $2 per pip, unless you're looking at a different currency pair, in which case it might be slightly more or slightly less. But the actual lot size is not going to change its value. Like its weighting is not like the weighting of it, the weight of zero point 0.2 lot size won't be dictated by that $300 account or $1,000 account. It's going to be just, dictated by the asset you're trading and the amount of pips that it's moving and stuff like that. That's a great question, though. Question here, how to know when to buy and when to sell. Yeah, great question. I mean, that is what we talk about a lot more on the sessions. We have like a whole boot camp, kind of the A to Z that we go into for really understanding technical analysis, which is what we're talking about when we're looking at charts. And that'll come with time. And I think you got a few people that replied really nicely. And then in terms of the scanner, it'll tell you what the order type is. So for me to know whether or not I'm buying or selling, all I'm going to do is look on the scanner where it says POI, and then it'll actually tell you the order type. So here it says sell limit. So that's how I know this is a sell limit. And if it was a buy idea with a bunch of targets above current price, that would be a buy idea. It's probably going to say buy limit. Good question as well. But let's see what else we have here. I think that's pretty much all of the questions here that I'm seeing in the chat. Was there any other questions? Any final questions? USD and JPY, BTC somewhat have the same movement. Yeah, so it's Bitcoin against, currencies, right? So Bitcoin is gaining a lot of strength right now against all currencies. USD CAD. I don't have time to go into another analysis just because we have to jump on to another meeting, a few of us as leaders. But right now I'm looking for USD CAD to trade probably more bullishly actually based on current price action. But at some point I want to see a pullback on USD CAD for buys. How can you tell when the bank is doing their buy to sell or sell to buy so we can trade with them? You want to look to identify areas of liquidity. So equal highs, equal lows, and you'll know that they're doing that sell to buy motion or buy to sell motion when you see, For example, on Euro USD back here, this purple area was a classic buy to sell. And we know that this was a buy to sell motion because we saw relatively equal highs taken here. We saw the market absolutely melt after a very brief up move. And the way that I was entering this trade wasn't over here, it was here on the retracement to this area to then be positioned with the institutions to take the market lower. So it's not necessarily in real time. Sometimes it will be, but usually it's on the pullback to their area where they're entering is where you're looking to actually take action on a trade. Great question, though. Great question. Cool, guys. Well, sweet. That's going to wrap it up for day 4. We'll be back for day 5 tomorrow. Appreciate your guys' time. This email or this recording will be emailed for replay. So anybody that's wanting to watch this back, check it out, better understand the scanner is more than happy to watch the replay. It'll also be posted on my YouTube. And you should receive an email in about 30 minutes or so, and it'll have all the recordings attached if you've registered for this soon, which everybody here has, whether you're live or in the recording. And yeah, with that being said, we'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, make sure you come on time, make sure you're ready, notebook, pen and paper, and come excited tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's going to be very exciting as we talk about applications and how to proceed from here, what the options are to proceed from here in moving forward on your trading journey. But with that being said, much love, everybody. See you all tomorrow. Happy Thursday once again. Enjoy the rest of the evening or the rest of the day, depending on when you're seeing this. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.